when the Z Fighters and gods themselves aren't enough to stop beings who not only threaten the universe, but an endless myriad of multiverses, who do the very gods of time and space call for help? That would be none other than one of the strongest members of the Time Patrol, Xeno Goku. Introduced as an alternate timeline version of Goku in Dragon Ball Heroes, Xeno Goku seems to have experienced the events of Dragon Ball Z, GT, and even the original Dragon Ball movies, such as the events with Cooler, Broly, and Janemba. He still wields the Power Pole, as well as the impressive might of Super Saiyan 4, which has the power to warp all of time itself. So how powerful is this primal powerhouse from Dragon Ball Heroes? Even in base form, he can contend with the likes of Demon God Demigra. In the Ultimate Mission X Dragon Ball Heroes game, Demigra is a being that was able to not only transcend time and space, along with the Dragon Ball Heroes multiverse, he was able to enter Beats World, a place that views the normal multiverse as fiction, and he even had the power to wipe it all out himself. This is impressive because, as I've explained in previous videos, the standard Dragon Ball cosmology consists of infinite timelines, each with multiple macrocosms inside them that are in and of themselves small multiverses, being made up of multiple infinite-sized spacetimes. These timelines contain higher dimensional structures, like the overarching extra time dimensions that connect the universes, the neutral space that holds them all, and so forth. Then you have the crack of time that exists outside of history and the timelines, viewing them as mere crystals, and connecting all of this, you have the subspace, a place where the very concepts of time and space no longer exist, and that transcend time itself. This is what's seen when characters use instant transmission, and it connects universes, timelines, and even the crack of time, as we see Goku teleport to all these places with instant transmission. This is a big step up in the cosmology, because we go from higher dimensional structures to what is known as an outerversal structure, or in other words, one that is beyond the scope of even the very concepts of time, space, and dimensionality. But we're not finished. Thanks to Dr. Slump, there is an endless hierarchy of reality fiction transcendences that Arale portrays as blank pages. Viewing the events of the manga and anime as mere fiction that she can leave and rewrite, Arale renders all the above-mentioned structures as nothing more than fiction to herself. As she rips out the manga page that she's currently standing on, which also has a lower fictional version of herself doing the same thing, and so on and so forth ad infinitum, she does this in an endless loop as well. This would place the little android at infinite layers of reality above the standard Dragon Ball cosmology, including the subspace, or in other words, it would be Outerversal Plus. Now I will note that for those who don't think the subspace should be applied as an outerversal structure, this endless loop would still place it, endless layers of reality, above whatever you think the lower structures are, making it high hyperversal, or in other words, the equivalent of infinite dimensional. Beyond this, we have a fictional version of Japan. In Dragon Ball Heroes, stated verbatim, Saiyans are in reality. Saiyans are in the real world. All the heroes nationwide must come together to save Japan from the Saiyans going berserk in the real world Shibuya. This essentially establishes this arcade version of Japan to be the equivalent of a fictional representation of the real world that views the Dragon Ball world as fiction. For those keeping count, this would make it an outerversal structure for viewing a high hyperversal hierarchy as fiction, or a high outerversal structure for viewing an outerversal plus hierarchy as fiction. Beyond this, we have the previously mentioned Beats World. In this world, the stories of Dragon Ball are just part of a video game, which Beat can enter as an avatar. They are quite literally pieces of fictional media from his perspective that he needs to use a digital avatar to interact with. It's outright stated that his world is the real world, while the Dragon Ball world is an arcade game that is not part of what is real, implying the reality fiction transcendence further. One thing people get confused with is that in some iterations, it's mentioned that the events of Dragon Ball Heroes are based off events that happened in the past, thus they're simply time traveling. This, however, isn't accurate. While similar events may have occurred in the past to fuel the stories that create the Dragon Ball Heroes arcades, the current stories, the game itself that he enters, and the characters that leave it are all works of fiction that are loosely based on past events in his world. They are still fictional characters and not simply time-traveled versions. It would make no sense for them to be anything else, given that Beat uses an avatar to interact with them on a lower plane in their stories, and when they reach his world, everybody's astonished that they're even able to do so. So while the choice to say the events are based on past events adds some confusion, they don't change the fact that the heroes and Dragon Ball stories that Beat plays and knows on the arcade, including the ones he participates in, are in fact just fiction to Beat. This would put Beat's world an extra layer into either Outerversal or High Outerversal, depending on if you accept the subspace as Outerversal or not. And even base Xeno Goku scales to this world for being able to stop Demigra, a being that can erase it all and remake it in his image. We also have other impressive enemies that Xeno Goku can take on, such as the Dark King Mechikabura, a being that could absorb all histories into himself and become the new god of space and time. Or Celis, a character who linked the Dragon Ball world and the real world, and caused anomalies to appear across the multiverse by warping it on a massive scale. But all of these enemies pale in comparison to Xeno Goku in his final form. Beyond Super Saiyan 4, with the godly power of Super Saiyan Blue being infused into his being, Xeno Goku can transcend into the ultimate primal form of a Saiyan, Limit Breaker Super Saiyan 4, where he exceeds even the power of Super Saiyan 4 and Super Saiyan Blue. In this state, he surpassed all his previous limits and defeated even an enhanced version of Janemba alongside Vegeta, who was the literal embodiment of the idea of evil. In this state, Xeno Goku later is even able to fight on par with Capsule Corp Goku, even when the latter used his second strongest form, Ultra Instinct Sun. This cements Xeno Goku as one of the most powerful Dragon Ball Heroes characters to this day, with speed scaling that allows Xeno Goku to scale to characters with feats like Cooler and Goku moving faster than instant transmission, Super Goku moving through hits Time Skip and Time Stop, Jiren's power transcending time itself, Infinite Zamasu traveling across timelines into the past to try and fuse with it, Dark Broly and Mira flying through several alternate time periods during their battle, Chronoa being able to fly through time to grab Trunks in the Time Patrol, and Raleigh being able to straight up just run through time itself, and even leave the manga and animation to go to any time she chooses, even multiple points simultaneously, plus Xeno Goku's ability to surpass dimensions that are transcendent to the very concept of time. It's safe to say almost nobody is keeping up with Xeno Goku either. But stats aren't everything. Xeno Goku has a myriad of special abilities as well. He of course has all the standard abilities of GT Goku, such as ki manipulation, a Saiyan's infamous growth rate and adaptability during battle, but he also has special skills only seen in Dragon Ball Heroes, such as the ability to summon other beings for help, such as Xeno Vegeta, Trunks, and even Super Shenron. Another notable one is his ability to affect probability. The likelihood of an attack landing on his opponent or himself is completely under his control from the jump. With the Indomitable Spirit skill, you can guarantee that your attacks will hit, or that your opponent's attacks will miss. Another massive ability Xeno Goku has is the Dimensional Domain ability. From the jump, this skill reduces your opponent's stamina down to 1, leaving them in a state of exhaustion at the start of every turn. If your opponent takes any action or gets hit by anything, their stamina is immediately broken, and they're unable to move or use any sort of skill or defend themselves, essentially making them an open target. Even a target with infinite stamina like Android 17 and 18 are not spared from the ability. Xeno Goku is also a being unaffected by the changes in time and space, existing outside the normal flow of history. Even with all histories destroyed, he remains unhindered by paradoxes, time, or fate. His laundry list of abilities goes on, and he's resistant to almost every hacks and ability in the Dragon Ball franchise, resisting things like various types of demon magic and the skills of other similar warriors to himself. But you get the idea. Xeno Goku is not only stronger and faster than his GT counterpart, he has a whole nother level of abilities as well. At the end of the day, you have a character with Outerversal to High Outerversal power, insane immeasurable speed, and abilities that can shut down most enemies before the match even begins, and dictate whether or not their actions will ever even reach him. That is the power of Xeno Goku.